All right, so here's the big one. Scene 4 shouldn't be too bad. I'm going to put quite a bit of elements together, and then we'll start working with the camera, just like we've been doing. So I'm going to select scene 4, Control C. I'm going to go find it. There it is. Now we have to rearrange some stuff. So I know that Conor's going to be kind of in the front, and then Kylie is going to be in the back. So I'm going to put these together. And if you don't already have these together, just make sure that they're together. Go ahead and move these. And then if you need to rename them, go ahead and rename them, just so we know what assets we're working with. All right, I'm going to make all of them 3D. I'm going to make them all with motion blur as well. All right, so I have my 3D space. I'm feeling good. Then I already have a cutout of what we're working with. So I guess I'll just build them one at a time. I'm going to turn off Conor for now. Just focus on the Kylie Jenner one. So right now everything's in the middle. I know that I'm going to be moving this back, so I'm just going to put these in place. Just go ahead and put position. Move them kind of towards the back. There we go. I'm going to allow for a little bit of separation for this Instagram snapshot. I'm going to put it backward. And then I'm going to raise it up to kind of match what we have on our example. There we go. Kind of bump this up. Let's do scale. All right, that looks all right. Position again. All right, liking that. All right, on the Kylie one, I'm going to use drop shadow and glow. I'll put a drop shadow on here, and we can actually use the same thing for Conor. I'm going to change this to red. Then I'm going to change the direction, kind of pointing this way. I'm going to put it at 100% for now. If I zoom in, I kind of get an idea. I'll go full. Okay, let me put out the distance a little bit. I think I'm fine with it right there. That looks all right. Have it at like 285. Looks good. I can put the softness maybe at 5. Might bump up the softness a little bit. I think I'm good with that. I'm going to put glow. I think the stock might be fine. All right, I might adjust the threshold because it's a little blown out on my example, so I'll try to do that as well. Tweaking that. I think I like that, so that's kind of where that is. That looks pretty good. Now let's go ahead and make the text layers. So we have 2 of them. One is just stroke only, and one of them is just regular fill, so Control T. I type in Kylie space Jenner. Now I'm going to go to my paragraph and center it. Turn off the fill, turn on the stroke. Okay, I'm going to bump this up. So we have a little bit of separation on the leading. That looks pretty good. I'm going to make it 3D. And I'm just going to kind of see where these are. So if this is at 950, I'll put this at 800. And then I'll put this text layer, I don't know, at 850 so it's behind. I'm going to put it in between these 2 pictures. Let's go ahead and put this behind. And then this, I think I'm going to have it behind, because it looks like it's behind the screenshot. So I'll put the screenshot above it. You see the position. Yeah, let's move this way back behind. There we go. Now I'm going to kind of center it where it is, so 540. Kind of where Kylie is. All right, that looks pretty good. Now I need to take out the black for the screenshot, so I'm going to use screen. There we go. So now it takes out the black. Then I can bump this up. So I can increase it or just hit scale. I think I want to use this, so I can just increase it. So I'm kind of covering the L. So I'm going to go off that. So we're covering the L. Scoot this down and then spread it out. All right, I think that looks pretty good. Might have to reframe the Instagram again. Instagram screenshot. Okay, let me move it up a bit. Let's do position. All right. I think that is good. It's kind of by her head, this wording. Okay. I think I like that. So that is kind of the stack of what I see right now. We have the text layer in the back. I might move it back just a little bit more. for some separation. Move it down. All right, I think I'm good with that. Next is, so we're going to do Control D. And then I'm going to bring this one to the front. So be sure to put it in the front. P. And then I'm just going to move it. There we go. I'm going to highlight it. Control A. I'm going to turn on the fill, turn off the stroke. This one's going to be red. Now I'm going to throw glow on it. Go. We can modify it. I think I'm good with that. All right, I'm going to bump it down. Squeeze them together for lead. Okay, and then let's go ahead and move it down with position. So it's not terribly big. Move it down some more. Okay. These are pretty close together. Okay. Looking good there. I think for Kylie, we are done. Now we're going to make a null layer for each of these, I guess, scenes. And we're going to do new null object. And then this is going to be Kylie null. I'm going to take all of these Kylie layers, pick whip to the Kylie null. So now if I need to make an adjustment, I can just move it with the null layer, all of them at the same time. I'm going to make it 3D and with motion blur. Okay. I'm going to make all of these the same color just so I don't get confused. Make all these pink. That's good. Then let's keep it moving to Conor. Let me hide these. Awesome. All right, I'm going to turn on Conor. Kind of the same thing, so I'm going to scroll on our example. So the Instagram thing is going to go in front this time. So I'll make sure to switch that around because it's going to go up front. All right, let me use screen to kind of take out that black. And then use position, take it down. All right, looks good there. We're going to throw glow on that as well. All right, I think I'm fine with the default. Same thing, so go ahead and bring back Kylie for a second. I'm going to use that drop shadow and glow that was on her image. Control C, or hit copy. I'm going to go to Conor. There's his, Control V. All right, so instead of red, I'm going to make it white. There we go. Now he's a little washed out. Bring it down a notch. All right. All right, so on Conor, we need I'm going to go ahead and just copy from Kylie, the text layers. So I'm going to do Control D. Then I'm going to move these down, kind of where Conor is. I'm going to hide all these. All right, so let me go ahead and get rid of Conor real fast. Start with this first one. We're going to do Conor McGregor. I'm going to make sure to highlight it and do paragraph over your properties panel. We're going to do align text. I'm going to change it to white. And I'll keep the same effects on it with that glow. Go ahead and move it over a little bit. What I can do is just put it out of 3D space and then align it that way as well. Go ahead and do the line tool. There we go. Let me go ahead and do the next one with that stroke only. It's going to be Conor McGregor as well. Conor McGregor. Highlighting it all. Left align text. I'm going to make it not 3D for a second. Align it. And I'll go ahead and make it 3D again on both of them. All right. So it looks like I'm going to move this somewhat down. So let's go ahead and grab the white one. I'm going to relabel these just so I don't get confused. So this is going to be fill. I think that's right. Position. Yeah, it's a fill. All right, so I'm just going to kind of align these best I can to what the example is. That's fairly close. All right. And then I'm just going to keep in mind that these are going to be separated a little bit. So I want these to be behind our Conor stuff. I'll put those behind. Go ahead and enable Conor. All right, that's looking pretty good. Let's go ahead and modify that drop shadow though. Have the distance come out just a little bit more. I think that's good. I can change the direction a little bit too. All right, I think I'm fine with that. All right, we're looking good. Now we're going to do the same thing here. We're going to do a null object. This will be the Conor null. Let's go ahead and do that. 3D, motion blur. Rename it. Conor null. Awesome. Highlight all these Conor layers, and then I'm going to say, hey guys, go ahead and go to Conor null. Perfect. All right. So now we can control all of that from there. I'll have to kind of rearrange where these sit. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Let me zoom out a bit. I'm going to take down the Conor and the screenshot and just scale it a little bit. I think that's good. Go ahead and move it down. Okay. Something like that. And put these over the shoulder using position. So P on our keyboard, moving it up. Kind of closer to his head. Okay. That's not bad. That's pretty close. So if you guys want an idea of the text layers, I got them at 214. And then the other one is at 336 for that stroke one. That's not bad. Now I am going to create some separation because everything's lined up right now. Everything's at 0. So I want the fill to be in front. That fill a little bit in front. I'm going to move this backward just so we can have some separation. Then I'll do the Conor. I'll move him forward. And then I'll also move the Instagram forward. Okay. So I should have something separated like that. And guess what? Since we have the null, we can move it all at once. So if I need to move the whole thing around, we can do that with the null layer. All right, moving along. Last thing for this scene is the Alex Hormozi video. And we're just putting up a video. So that's pretty easy enough. So if we go ahead and open up all of the Kylie stuff, we have our scene 1 with Kylie. Then we have our scene 2 with Conor. I'm going to make all these the same. So I have kind of an accurate reading of what everything looks like. All right, so like Kylie is pink, the Conor is purple. And for Alex, I'll go ahead and make him another color too. But let me bring that into the project. Let me see what the asset is called. Yeah, Alex clip for scene 4. Just add that to your project. We're going to bring it down. And this is going to be the last thing that we see. So we'll have it up top. I'll put Kylie at the bottom, kind of in order of what we're seeing it. So Kylie's first, then Conor, then Alex. Okay. Close up all these. Now for Alex, he's already sitting up top here, but I'm still going to make it a 3D layer and I'll just move him up. I'll just move him up on the Z parameter. And there we go. I'll rearrange him once we get there, but let's go ahead and start the movement with the camera. Let's go ahead and do that because I think we have all of our assets. Let's go ahead and look for a second. Yeah, I think we have all of our assets in place. We'll do the animations afterward, but we're just going to focus on the camera movement because it is a little finicky because we're going to be playing with different parameters, both from the null and from the camera. All right, so we feel good about that. I'm going to hide Alex for now, turn off the volume, and I'm going to bring in our scene. So let me go ahead and bring it from the main comp. So we have that audio, Control C, and then go to scene 4, Control V. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and chop everything to that. Go ahead and get that done. Chopping it. Deselect that Alex layer for a second. There we go. All right, so everything is in order. Make sure I got everything. All right, move this layer down in the stack. I'm going to turn off the volume, let me keep the volume on for a second. Now, these markers that I made, if I haven't already mentioned them, is actually the waveform. So if you do LL on your keyboard, you can see the waveform. So that first move is going to go through Kylie, and then we're going to make the transition to Conor. So when that happens, we're kind of lined up at around here. So it's relatively close to where it's not on the Z perimeter. And then it starts to shift and turn, right? Kind of like a tunnel effect on that Z parameter. But then we start to point the camera over to Conor. All right. So we're going to be focusing on that. All right, so let's evaluate kind of what's going on here. We need to start out kind of in a barrel roll when we first go through. So it's kind of tilted, and then it zeroes out around here. So I kind of want to have that same look when we're starting with this camera movement. Let's do a new camera. To node is good, and we're going to do a new null object. We're going to pair that camera to the null. I'm going to rename it. This is going to be null camera. There we go. Just make these the same color for my own sake. There we go. All right, I'm going to chop these up. One more timeline. Chop them up. Great. All right, so I have a little cheat sheet on where we're going to be marking these. So the first keyframes, let's go ahead and make those on the null camera. We make them 3D, motion blur, starting with position. So this first one, we're kind of going straight out as far as the motion goes. So I'm going to make sure that I am all the way through our second scene, our first scene. I'm going to dial this up though, just so I'm kind of going through the chest, through, and where I can kind of see the word. Okay? So I'm starting it there, and we're going to be just moving straight out with this first one, and this is going to be at the 103, so a second. So in this case, we have 807. I'm going to go to 907. Go to 907, and then 123. Awesome. So we're going to go straight out where we can see Conor pretty much. Okay. Go out a little bit further. We'll keep it right there. Okay. That's the first movement. That's great. Next is kind of moving the Z parameter after that. And for the position, that's going to be 1 second, 124. So we'll move over 21 frames. So in this case, I will select my timeline, and I'll do shift page down for 10, 20, and then 1 over. There we go. And then that will be our next. I'm just going to put a keyframe because we'll have to adjust it as we move things around. All right. I like that separation. I think things are looking good so far. But with Conor, when we look at our example, he's kind of at an angle, right? And his shoulder's kind of like where Kylie's knees are. So I'm going to try and make that accurate. And I'm going to use the Conor null. So I'll do position. And then we'll start trying to get that in order. Kind of scoot it over. I'll move it up. Okay. Trying to align it where it is. It's kind of under the text. Great. Now I need to tilt it. So we're going to be using the Z parameter. I'm going to open it up. There's that Z rotation. There we go. Go ahead and move him to the side. Okay, move him down a bit. All right, I think I'm good with that. So we're coming out, and we need to make the camera look at him. So we're going to be getting a little bit more detailed with these camera movements. So we need him to kind of be front of stage after we go over his shoulder. But where are we sitting right now? I think we're accomplishing the first part. So we're going through. Should see his shoulder soon. There's his shoulder. And then we got to start turning and seeing him. All right. So I have my cheat sheet. Let's go ahead and follow along. We have Z. So from the start, we're going to do -3. So we start that barrel roll. -3. Then we're going to go to 0. And that is at the 14 frame mark. So we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. That's pretty accurate. Let's do 0. All right, so it's kind of centered. That looks good. So on our example, we're somewhere around here. Okay, that looks good. So now we're going to start tilting it. So we need to change that to -33 once we get to the 1 second mark. So our first one was 807. We need to go to 907. Let's go to 907. And we're going to be shifting that really, really hard to -33. All right, hard shift. Now we can see that Conor is almost lined up, even at that. Okay, so that's the next keyframe. Now we're going to also tweak the X and Y rotation to actually start getting him in place. So let's go ahead and do that. So starting at the 103 mark, so where this parameter is, we're going to start turning those X and Ys on. Let's make this first keyframe down here. I want to make sure that nothing's getting messed up. Okay, so for that amount of time, it's going to be 0. And I'm going to tweak the X to -7. And then this is going to be at -516. So we're at 103 right now. We're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. That will put us there. And we're going to move this to the Y. It's going to be -5. Okay, not bad. Now the kicker here is having the camera movement. So we're going to move the camera. The only thing we're going to play with is the Y rotation. So here we're going to put the camera at the 19 frame mark. Should be right here. That first one is going to be 0. And then we're going to move it to the 1 second mark. So 907. And that is going to be -17. All right, so now we're getting closer to making it look like we have him lined up. So how we're going to fix this is we're going to finagle around with the actual position parameter and messing with the Y coordinate. So that first Y coordinate is at 0. So we have him coming across, and now we need to kind of line him up with the camera. All right, so I'm actually going to move Conor forward a little bit. He can be a little bit closer. So I'll move that on the null. Move that Z parameter. And then I'm going to tilt him as well. Tilt that Y. It's kind of more flush with the image. I think that looks pretty good. Let me tilt him with the X-axis just a little bit. Okay, that's not bad. Go with the Z, just so he's kind of lined up. All right. I think I like that. Go ahead and look at it from what it is. This is just linear keyframes. Okay. So I have some unnecessary movement. I think I went a little bit too far. Let me go ahead and move my work area. That's not bad. So instead of rotating right here, I can just delete this keyframe because I think that's the right move. Because now we need to start moving up is actually what I should have done. So I'm going a little bit too far. I'm going to bring in that null camera. So it's more on Conor. Move it to the left a little bit. I think that's more of an accurate read. There we go. Go ahead and start it. Look at Kylie Jenner, Conor McGregor, even Alex. Have it render out. Even Alex himself. Look at Kylie Jenner, Conor McGregor, even. Okay. So when we come off of this, it's almost like bouncing. Now I need to start moving him way up. So now I'll kind of tilt the camera up and then we'll bring Alex in. So in that case, I'll use the X rotation. I'm going to move this up. So it's like we're kind of moving up. And then on this position parameter, I'm going to come out and also go vertically. Well, it's like I'm moving up and out. Go out a little bit more. Yeah, just make sure he's still in frame. I think that'll work. Let me go ahead and easy ease all these. I'm going to do so on the camera as well. And then I'm going to render this out. Look at Kylie Jenner, Conor McGregor, even Alex himself. Look at Kylie Jenner, Conor McGregor. Awesome. So when it gets to this even point, I should now drop Alex right in here. So let me turn on my Alex clip. And there he is in all his glory. So when we go here, Conor, and then oh, come on. Let me take this off and put it at quarter so it can actually render. I'm going Kylie Jenner. So when he says even at this point, I'm then going to drop him in. So I'm going to line him up. He looks kind of wonky. Go to position. Go ahead and open all this up. Turn him. Line him up with the canvas. So I need to kind of match where this camera is kind of pointed at. So I'm going to get an idea of like, okay, it's kind of at that angle. Let me use my Y. I'm going to close that. Use my Y rotation. Kind of angle him towards the camera. It's pretty close. And at that -17. Okay. So the camera is looking around here. Now I can just grab Alex and move him, that Z parameter. Move him out. The camera's looking at that. Let's go to position. Because this is him in 4K, so it should be a pretty big file to look at. Let's scale him up. Make sure he's lined up. Oh, that's a Conor null. Back to these rotations. Okay, I think he's straight there. This position. There we go. So he's pretty much going to start fading in from where that camera is moving. So as it's about to move out, we'll start making that, and we're at 923. We'll go ahead and make that change. Because I think it's going to keep coming out. Yeah, that's perfect. All right, so when it's about here at, let's do 922. Do opacity, that's going to be at 0. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We're going to have it go to 100. So Alex will now be present. Highlight those, F9. Now we should get something like this. Look at Kylie Jenner, Conor McGregor, even Alex himself. Look at Kylie Jenner, Conor McGregor, even... So not too bad. How it kind of stops on there, floats out. I think we did pretty good. So from here, there's a few options that you could do. I did do posterize time to kind of slow things down. And you could do that as well. Just to show you what I mean. It's kind of what we did on that last example. Put an adjustment layer out there. Posterize time, and this will just slow everything down. Okay, and I can cut the frame rate to like 16. All right, let's go to the front. This might cut off. Yeah, see, it's already cutting it off. Look at Kylie Jenner, Conor McGregor, even Alex himself. Look at Kylie Jenner, Conor McGregor, even Alex himself. So I'm satisfied with this camera movement. If you have something similar or something different, I say roll with it. But this is just getting used to using multiple scenes inside of one scene, I guess. So with that being said, I'm going to add in the details, kind of like the text coming in, a few things that we could do as far as what I had in the original. So let's get into that as well. All right, so we messed with a lot of this stuff. Let's look at the details. So some of the details here on the Kylie stuff, I think we're actually good to go. The only thing that we have to change here is that we previously discussed on the camera that we can focus in and out. So on my specific example, I could have done that, but I kind of took an easy way out. And this is what I did. I used Gaussian blur and exposure, and I put it on an adjustment layer. And all I did was make those with keyframes. So let's go ahead and do that. Do an adjustment layer. And then on this curve of when this is happening, we can make those keyframes. So I would say as it kind of zooms out, starts to turn, I'll start to make it blur around here. So let's move this adjustment layer down to where all the Kylie assets are. And I'm going to tell it, hey, exposure, I'm going to crank it down starting here. And then I'm also going to do Gaussian blur. Put that on the adjustment layer. And then we're going to start that blurriness right here too. So now when we go out, let's go ahead and start making it blurry around here. So as we're focusing on Conor, she'll totally be blurred out and darker. Let's get it a little bit darker. Something like that. All right, so I'm going to do -4. Something like that. And then, I don't know, bump it to like 50. There we go. So it's kind of having the same thing of like the focus is dimming and getting out of focus. So we're focused on Kylie, and then we turn, and it's blurring, and then it's in the background, right? So nice subtle detail. That's just an easier way to do it instead of using those camera keyframes. But if you like the other way, you could do that too. I'm going to go ahead and rename this. This is just Gaussian, and exposure. All right. So next thing with Conor, we need to animate his text on screen, because as it comes out, we actually don't even see the McGregor yet. We're kind of cascading in. So I used both of those cascading text layers. I did Mr. Horse. So we have the McGregor fill and the stencil version, or the stroke only. We'll go to Animation Composer. We're going to do Starter Presets, and we're going to go to Text Transitions. And I think I just used this one. We're going to do Overshoot Position, Rotate. That looks pretty good. We're going to do it from the bottom. Let me go ahead and make my selection. Move my playhead at the beginning. We're going to do In for the first layer. There it goes. And then we're going to do In as well on the second layer. All right, so I have it on both of them now. Now I just need to time it. So I'll go ahead and scroll through. Let me change this down a little bit to 1/4. All right, so it's already being complete. I want to kind of stretch these out. So I'm going to do that. There's that first one. All right, I think that's more accurate to what we were seeing in our example. Same thing. I know it's funny because I'm redoing something that I did, but this is fine. All right, so they're cascading in. That looks pretty good. You could also add, if they're coming in too early, you can, bump down the transparency, but I kind of like how this is looking. Instead of having them line up, I'm going to have that fill one come in just a little bit later. So there's kind of like a delay on
Kylie Jenner, Conor McGregor, even Alex himself.
I'm going to render that out.
Conor McGregor, even Alex himself.
And then I also rendered out a version that has posterized time just for the different looks.
Look at Kylie Jenner, Conor McGregor, even Alex himself. Look at Kylie Jenner, Conor McGregor, even Alex himself.
There we go. All right, I like all that. So I'm going to go ahead and hide what we have. I think that is it for the elements. I think the other thing to add is this text animation on Alex, and then also the exposure. So let's go ahead and do that. So as this clip kind of wind down, I did kind of a similar thing that we did with the Kylie Jenner portion, but I'm going to do it on the actual Alex scene. And then I added a black solid to have it fade in. So when it goes black, it doesn't just show the next scene. It actually just shows something that's purely black. So let's go ahead and do that. So exposure. Put this on Alex. Go. Once he gets on screen. All right, let's go ahead and do you. See those keyframes? So he's getting on screen here. And then I'm going to start the exposure here. We're going to do exposure. First keyframe, and then towards the end, we're going to go straight to black, almost at the end. I'm going to go dial it back to like -5. All right, that's pretty dark. And then in this same time, we're going to do Control Y, do a black solid. That's going to be over the top of Alex as well. And now that it's over the top, I'm also going to let me open up those keyframes from Alex. All right, so around kind of like the middle of these keyframes, I'm going to have this fade in for the black solid. So I'll go to T, opacity, make that keyframe, and then move it on over to the end here. And that is going to be at 100%. That first one, I forgot to change it, needs to be 0. Okay. So now this is fading in, and then it goes completely black. Let me move these keyframes. I'm going to have this happen a little bit earlier. So it's getting really, really dark. Let me go ahead and render this so you can actually see it.
McGregor, even Alex himself. Look at.
So this is what we're going for. We're going for the things to come in. Here comes Alex. He's now fading into black. And then we have a black screen here at the end. So here on the black screen, we had this kind of fading in text layer. So we're coming in, we're fading in, and then I have it changing to red. I'm do Control T. Start typing out a new text layer. This is even Alex himself. Control A. This is going to be Montserrat. Montserrat black. Have the fill color be white. Do all caps. Okay, looks good. And then I'm just going to use, I don't think I have it in 3D. I don't. Go to Align, Middle, Vertical. That's great. Do Control Alt Home or Command Option Home if you're on Mac. Put that in the middle. I'm going to shrink this down. Hit the line tool again. Great. Let's go to like 80 maybe. I think that will fit on screen. Great. Control Alt Home, put that anchor point in the middle. Okay, then I think I ended it with a period, so I'll make sure to put that. Great. Let me go ahead and hide everything else just to get it off the screen. All right, let's focus on this. So we have it coming in, so that means we need that animation happening relatively close. I have this stretched out. That's why it looks weird. 100, 100. Here we go. I just changed the scale inside the property settings. Now for this, I'm going to move. Our text layer isn't going to show up for a while, so let me get the timing right. Okay, and then it should start here once Conor's gone. All right, so I'm at the 10:02 mark, right where I have that marker. Do Control Shift D. And I'll just get rid of that second one. Then we have all of this. Go ahead and cut this to size. Great. So here is our text layer. We're going to do fade up words again. Fade up words. There it is. There we go. I'm going to select the layer, do U. And then this might actually work out perfectly where it is. Cool. So I'm going to have it happen at around 11 seconds. And then this is where I'll change it to red. So we'll do that here in a second as well. But I want to bring in the radial fast blur. There it is, radial fast blur. So let's go ahead and put the blur on here. So how it happens, it's coming in, and then it's pretty much starting pretty close to the start. So I'll go amount, let's go to 0. And then we'll move forward to where it's almost blown out here at the end. Okay, great. I'm going to change it to brightest so we can actually see the words. Okay, I think that's right. Let's go ahead and see that example. All right, cool. So it's blading down. So let me make sure I move that down. Moving the center up. All right. Let me see those keyframes. Push U on our keyboard. All right, let me make the amount a little bit less. Go like 75. Yeah, that's pretty close. Okay. It's looking good. So now we need to change the color. So the color change is going to happen, I don't know, somewhere around here when it's actually shown. Yeah. So around here is kind of where I want that transformation to happen. So I'm going to make another animator. So let's go to Animate. I'm going to go to Fill Color, RGB. So now you can already see it turns red by default because the default color is red. But we want that to be white. Make that keyframe. And then we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, somewhere around there. We'll make it red. So it's a pretty quick transition, right? Not bad. Okay. I think I'm good with that. Go ahead and play it out. That's not bad. I think I do want to tweak that color there at the end. I kind of want to tweak this to be a little bit more drastic. Let's do like 85. Yeah, okay. I think I'm happy with that. All right, and that is, I think, the conclusion of scene 4. I know there's a lot of elements there. I think we selected a different text animation, which is fine, but looking pretty good. So let me know if you guys have any questions on that. I'm interested in what different movements that you want, because you don't have to do Conor's right shoulder. You could do his left shoulder. You could go over his head. There's all kinds of different options that you could do, but if you wanted to copy what I did, this will get it done. All right, so last thing we'll do is we'll add this scene to our timeline and probably throw a transition on there as well. Let's go ahead and do that. So I'm inside my main comp. Do I have my sound on for this? Let me unhide this. No, let me turn on my sound. That's great. I'll go to my main comp, go to my project panel, open up, see where scene 4 is, and then I'll just drop it on here. There we go. All right, there's scene 4. I'm going to drag it so it fits. Awesome. And then now I can turn off the sound and video. We'll have it play. Go ahead and see what it looks like so far. Let me move my work area around here. Let's do in. There we go. So I'm going to render this out. All right, let's go ahead and play it.
And if you don't believe me, look at Kylie Jenner, Conor McGregor, even Alex himself. They multiply.
Not bad, right? All right, let's go ahead and move to the next scene. All right, this is scene 4. This took me an entire day to figure out. And this is honestly what had me learn the 3D camera, because I'm like, okay, how do I make this movement? This is the scene that made me get better. So what is happening here? We have, let's go ahead and just talk through what the layer stack is. We have a null layer that's controlling the camera. We have a black solid that is fading here in at the end. And then we have a clip of Alex that's just here where it's him on stage. It says Roto, but that is kind of the source file. And we have an adjustment layer that has posterized time that is being applied across all of these. So as you know, adjustment layer is going to affect what's ever below it. So in this case, I'm having it affect the Conor portion, because on the Conor portion, it has a text animation on both. We can see the animation happening here. I know it's real blurry, but it's happening on the text that it's happening on the font that has stroke only, and also on the font that's bold. So those are coming in, and then we see the camera come out. Then we have the Alex section of his speech coming in and just fading in. All right. So as far as the camera movements, this is being controlled by a null layer. As far as all of the scenes, they are all being controlled by their own null as well. So if I needed to tweak something, I can move all of those assets at once. In each of these assets, I tried to be like, okay, this is the Conor scene, so all those are connected to the Conor scene. And then we have another null layer. Okay, all of these layers for Kylie is also connected to a null. So when I needed to make those position movements with everything, I just had those null layers. Kind of how we did it on a similar scene. Okay, so what are we seeing on screen as far as what's happening? So the first thing that's going to happen is that we have kind of this tunneling that I'm doing. So if I select the camera, we'll get a better representation. But I'm using most of these moves with just the null object. So we see the camera start out and it's twisting. So it starts out at like a -3, and then it twists on the Z parameter to then 0 out, kind of where we see the subject. And then we start tweaking the Y and X rotation to now make the camera say, hey, okay, as we keep moving out, we're actually going to turn. So that's where the X and Y rotation comes in. So now we're turning to now have our eyes on Conor. And then we're still coming out from that position, and then we're just putting another layer in front of it. And that other layer is the Alex clip. And that's where we can see the opacity just starting from 0 and then coming right in front of both of those layers. So that's why it's there on the layer stack. So here's scene 1, here's scene 2, and then here's scene 3. And then we can see the camera move through all of them. So we're coming out, we're twisting, and then we're still coming out and we're turning, we're redirecting the attention, and then we're coming out some more and actually lifting up just a little bit. See how it's coming up to kind of show the rest of Conor's text. And then we are now fading into this. And then to get this black, I'm also taking down the exposure of the clip. That's where we see this keyframe for exposure on the Alex clip. And then I'm bringing in a black solid to just make it completely black. Okay. All right. So that is what is happening in scene 4. Let's see what we make around this time. I think this is a little convoluted on how we made it. There's some different techniques that we can use, but let's go ahead and see what we can accomplish here. I'll see you in the next one.